just got out of Toy Story 5 in 3D, and maybe I'll leave these on for a minute. It was alright. Stay tuned for my review of Toy Story 5, but first, a quick recap of the first 4 Toy Story movies and a ranking, and then 3 brand new reviews this weekend at the movies. Welcome to This Weekend at the Movies Retro Reel Review. I know, I've never started one of my videos with this segment, but in this case, I think it's warranted. However, if you do want to go straight to my Toy Story 5 review, the time code is in the description below the video. But I hope you'll hang around and watch this segment first. If you're anything like me, you might have a little trouble remembering even the basics of what happened in the first 4 Toy Story movies. To be fair, they were released over a period of more than 30 years, and there's an average of 7 3/4 years in between releases. So, to refresh all of our memories, I went back and rewatched the first 4 Toy Story movies in the past week. Thank you, Disney Plus. And I am now prepared to give you a quick reminder of what happened in each movie and rank them. Let's start with what they all have in common. In case you've been living under a rock or held by anti-animation terrorists since 1995. All of these movies feature an earnest sheriff cowboy named Woody, voiced by multiple Oscar winner Tom Hanks, and an overly confident space ranger named Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Tim Allen from Home Improvement and other TV sitcoms and movies. These two are part of a larger group of toys, very resourceful toys, toys that can think, toys that can talk and move around when no people are watching. These toys have different personalities and different abilities, but what they have in common is their need to be played with and loved. At first, it's a boy named Andy. Later, it's a little girl named Bonnie. And as these toys participate in the lives of these children and go on various adventures, they meet other toys who aren't lucky enough to be homed with a child or have regular playtimes. Some of these toys become friends, while others threaten everything. In the original Toy Story, Woody's position as the leader of the toys and Andy's favorite toy is threatened by the arrival of Buzz, who is deluded enough to not realize he isn't the real Buzz Lightyear and that he is just a toy. All of the toys in Andy's room live in fear of the sadistic boy next door who mutilates and tortures and sometimes even destroys toys for his own amusement. And they're also worried about the implications of the impending move of Andy's family to a new house. And it becomes a very dangerous situation when during that move, Woody and Buzz get separated from Andy and the rest of the toys and risk becoming permanently lost toys. 1999's Toy Story 2 sees Woody accidentally end up in the possession of the owner of Al's Toy Barn. Al, voiced by Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, wants to sell Woody to a Japanese toy museum for a lot of money. Woody meets cowgirl Jessie, voiced by Joan Cusack, her horse, and an old prospector, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, who tell and show him that they were all part of a popular 1950s TV show, which is why they're so valuable as a set. Woody has to decide whether to help keep his new friends out of storage and get to the museum where they can be admired by many, or whether he should stay with his old friends, being admired only by Andy. Toy Story 3 came out in 2010, was nominated for the Best Picture Oscar, and is the most emotional of the first 4 movies. As Andy prepares to leave for college, his toys wonder and worry about what's going to become of them. Where will they end up? In the attic? In the trash? It turns out they're donated to a local daycare center, where they find out that being played with by a whole bunch of rambunctious toddlers isn't quite as much fun as they might have thought. but maybe they can get transferred to the other room in the daycare center where the older kids play, if the toy gatekeepers of that room allow them in. Now, I won't spoil the ending, just in case anybody out there is over 15 years behind in their movie viewing, but I can say that the end of this movie represents a shift in the saga that gives some movie fans all the feels. I'm not crying, you're crying! In 2019, we got Toy Story 4, which sees the gang's new kid, Bonnie, reluctantly begin kindergarten. At orientation, she makes a new friend, as in physically makes him, from a spork, googly eyes, a pipe cleaner, and a popsicle stick, and she names him Forky. He is voiced by Tony Hale. Since Forky came from the trash, he thinks that's where he belongs, and gleefully tries to jump into every trash can he can find. Woody works very hard to try to protect Forky from himself and keep him in the care of Bonnie, a task which becomes increasingly difficult when Bonnie's family takes her and her toys on a road trip. Along the way, the toys have to struggle against some creepy toys that live in an antique store and the dangers of a nearby carnival. At the end of this movie, once again, Woody has to make a decision that may change everything for this group of toys. In fact, I was anxious to see how Toy Story 5 would pick up given the way 4 ended. Hi, Pepper. So, how do the first 4 Toy Story movies stack up? How would I advise someone that maybe wants to watch 1 or 2 but not all 4? Well, I really enjoyed rewatching all 4 this past week, and I would recommend any or all of them to any movie fan regardless of their age. But if I had to rank them, I would put 1 first, then 3, then 4, then 2. You know how some people say the even-numbered Star Trek movies are the best? Well, I just happen to think that the odd-numbered Toy Story movies are the most enjoyable. I mean, I have said repeatedly that sequels sometimes do surpass their originals, but in this case, you cannot do better than the first Toy Story movie for originality, character development, clever writing, and just plain fun. Of the other sequels, 3 gets points for emotional impact, 4 is probably the most exciting, and 2, I'm sorry, but it's the most skippable. Don't get me wrong, like I said, all 4 Toy Story movies are terrific, and they are all worth your time. But if I had to rank them, it would go 1, 3, 4, and 2. So, how will Toy Story 5 stack up? A little marbly? Will it earn its place with 1 and 3? After all, 5 is an odd number. Or will it join 4 as one of the more middling entries into the franchise? Or will it replace 2 as a solid movie, but the most inconsequential of a strong batch of movies? That answer is coming up next, this weekend at the movies. It seems like a fair question to ask. Did we need a Toy Story 5? Or maybe it's the wrong question to ask. Stay tuned to find out what I mean, and how many claps on a scale of 1 to 5 I give Toy Story 5, and whether you should see it, stream it, or skip it, and how it stacks up against the previous 4 Toy Story movies. Midnight loves the Toy Story movies, so he decided to make an appearance for this review. Okay, boy, you're always welcome, but why don't you go play with your toys? Toy Story 5 brings a new existential threat into the world of Bonnie's toys: electronics. It seems that Bonnie is one of the last kids left still playing with actual toys instead of spending her playtime staring at a screen. Now, with no actual friends and anxious to fit in with her peer group, she gets starts playing with and communicating through her first electronic toy, Lily Pad, voiced by Greta Lee. This sets off an epic struggle between Bonnie's older toys and her new electronic obsession. Woody, still voiced by Tom Hanks, of course, shows up to help Bonnie's toys, which are now led by Jessie, Joan Cusack, with Buzz, Tim Allen, serving as her deputy and indulging increasing feelings for her. Even though Bonnie has now entered the digital age, she's still not quite fitting in with her friend group. Jessie does everything she can to help, but soon finds herself stranded back at the home of her first kid. The current little girl in that home, Blaze, voiced by Michael Michelle Harris, is happy to have her. And while all this is unfolding, there is a veritable army of Buzz Lightyears, high-tech edition, trying to get to Star Command, which means they follow anything that even looks like a star, which lands them in the orbit of Bonnie's toys and right in the center of the main story in this movie. Toy Story 5 is co-written and co-directed by longtime Pixar veteran Andrew Stanton and Walt Disney and Pixar veteran McKenna Harris, who maintain the integrity and charm of the original Toy Story characters while bringing fresh ideas and a pleasing creative flow. While it may seem through much of this movie that there are too many storylines unfolding in too many different locations, these subplots come together wonderfully in the end. Even though the idea of traditional toys winning the battle against electronic toys seems about as likely as there not being a Toy Story 6, this movie ends in such a way that gives hope to both sides and to the idea of traditional friendships. And therein lies another emotional Toy Story ending. I give Toy Story 5 4 claps out of 5. See it in a theater and in 3D if you can. Now, did we need another Toy Story movie? Maybe not. But fans of the franchise will be happy to have this one. So how does Toy Story 5 stack up against the previous 4 Toy Story movies? I think that's best left up to you to decide. But do share what you think in the comments. I'd love to know. Now, on to 2 LGBTQ themed movies released right in the middle of Pride Month. How many claps on a scale of 1 to 5 will each earn? And for each one, should you run to the theater and see it, wait and stream it, or skip it altogether? And is one of them better than the other? Watch on to find out. Leviticus is an Australian supernatural horror film. It follows 2 gay teenage boys who are tormented by a supernatural entity summoned by their homophobic religious community. When gayness is discovered among their teens, parents bring in a so-called deliverance healer who tries to, as some might say, pray the gay away. But the solution, the answer to this prayer, is much more serious than the problem itself, if being gay is indeed a problem. After the boys go through these rituals, they are tormented by a vision that only they can see. It comes to them in the form of the person they are into the most, usually their homosexual lover. When they see their lover, is it him or is it the entity? How can you tell? And is there any escape from the situation other than death? Leviticus is a creative and terrifying portrayal of what it can mean to be a gay teen in conservative communities. The entity which torments and threatens to kill these teens, an entity only they can see, is clearly meant to represent the inner struggle that many gay teens feel between their heart and their very human desire to fit in where they live and be loved and respected by their family and friends. On that level, this movie is profound as it uses the shock value of a horror film to encourage understanding and empathy among movie viewers. It's a wake-up call to anyone who knows anyone struggling with their sexuality, but who can't accept them for who they really are. The only actor in this movie who is fairly well known to American audiences, is Mia Wasikowska, who plays the single mother to one of the boys and is also an executive producer on the film. But this entire cast is extraordinary, bringing maximum impact to a very timely story told in such a visceral way. I give Leviticus 4 claps out of 5. See it. Now, on to the second of 2 LGBTQ-themed Pride Month releases this weekend at the movies. You've heard what I had to say about Leviticus. Now, how many claps out of 5 will this one get? And should you go to the theater and see it, wait and stream it, or just skip it all together? And is one of these movies better than the other? You're about to find out. Girls Like Girls is a coming-of-age romance directed by Hayley Kiyoko based on her 2023 book. The story follows 17-year-old Coley, whose mother's death forces her to move from San Diego to rural Oregon to live with her estranged dad. In her new community, Coley meets Sonia, a girl who sparks unfamiliar feelings in Coley. Sonia, who is naturally outgoing and affectionate with her friends, returns Coley's affections. But unfamiliar with dating girls, doesn't really understand or know what to do with these feelings. All she knows is, to paraphrase Katy Perry, she kissed a girl and she liked it. But what next? As both girls navigate this unfamiliar territory, they hold each other's deepest emotions in their hands, and what they do with those feelings will have a profound effect on their self-esteem and their future, both themselves and each other. By the way, if you see this movie, make sure you stay for the end credits scene. It resolves the story in a more complete way than I can ever remember any other movie's end credits scene doing. Girls Like Girls starts out in a way that strains credibility, portraying Coley as so withdrawn, sullen, and even mean that it's kind of hard to believe that a self-confident girl like Sonia, who seems to be the leader of her friend group, would even reach out to Coley, much less jump through so many hoops to befriend her. But as their friendship develops and turns into something much more, this movie's strength becomes its realism and its portrayal of raw emotion. Zach Braff is the only well-known actor in this movie, playing Coley's well-meaning but clueless dad. But, like I said with the similarly themed Leviticus, the main cast is extraordinarily strong, ensuring maximum impact for this very timely story, told so honestly and revealingly. I give Girls Like Girls 3 claps out of 5. Stream it. And as to which of the 2 LGBTQ-themed Pride Month releases are better, I kind of have to give the edge to Leviticus, just because it is so creative and dramatic and powerful. But both of these movies are worth a look, especially if you know a gay teen, or a teen that you think may be gay, or just want to understand these issues better as a compassionate human being. The Death of Robin Hood is a thriller starring Hugh Jackman as the title character in a dark adaptation of the 17th century ballad Robin Hood's Death, and playing the traditional hero unlike you've ever seen him portrayed before. Robin Hood is grappling with his past after a lifetime of crime and murder and doesn't seem able to live any other way. He feels trapped in a never-ending cycle of violence which revolves around past conflicts that seem to come back to him with each succeeding generation. As he tells one person, the stories about Robin Hood are, quote, lies upon lies, and admits that he has killed men, quote, for the joy of it. When his old friend Little John, not the jovial character you're used to seeing in Robin Hood stories, and played by Bill Skarsgård, comes and asks for his help in reclaiming some things that were taken from him, Robin agrees, but believes he will die in the effort, and he seems okay with that. This favor for a friend does increase Robin's body count and lead him into a confrontation which almost kills him. But Little John delivers him to an island priory where a mysterious woman played by Jodie Comer, who doesn't know who he is or care what he's done, gives him a new lease on life. So, does Robin Hood take advantage of this opportunity and atone for his past, or does he find his past impossible to leave behind? Oh, Pepper, how nice of you to join me for this last review. The Death of Robin Hood is written and directed by Michael Sarnowski, who wrote and directed A Quiet Place Day One, and he brings a similar gravitas and darkness to this film. And dark it is. This may be the most unlikable character that Hugh Jackman has ever played, and maybe the one he's played the best. His Robin Hood is difficult to root for, but fascinating to watch, especially since he is paired with Jodie Comer, who is a past Oscar nominee for the 2021 underseen period piece, The Last Duel. This movie may be too dark or too plodding for some moviegoers, but it's definitely a fresh and interesting take on the Robin Hood legend. And the movie's last scene, the one referred to in the title, is nothing short of poetic. I give The Death of Robin Hood 3 claps out of 5. Stream it, but maybe pair it with a nice rom-com for balance. You've been watching This Weekend at the Movies. Please like and subscribe, and while you're at it, click that little bell so you don't miss any of our honest, spoiler-free, quick turnaround reviews of the newest movies in theaters in time for you to decide whether to see them opening weekend, plus our retro reel reviews of the greatest movies from years past. My name is Dave McLean. Thank you very much for your time and attention.